All right, so what are we going to talk about today on the War Room stream?
Uh-oh.
There's a child.
Max, come on. This way.
Hello, Emily. Is the sound okay? I need some independent verification and confirmation that the sound sounds okay. Because we're broadcasting via StreamYard. Sometimes StreamYard does not like my microphone for some reason. All right, sounds good. Cool. Thank you for that. Hopefully the children aren't too loud. Well, welcome everybody. I was just rambling on about how this week has been insanely crazy and nerve-wracking and not being able to focus on anything because of that. Maybe things will calm down now. Who knows? It's just me on here right now. I am broadcasting, like I said, via StreamYard. We will have... Jessica will be on at some point. She's very busy today doing a bunch of stuff, so she'll join us when she can. And we are going to have a special guest. Naeem Stewart will be here to talk about his experiences in Warhammer and what he likes about it, and what he does, what armies he has, and things like that. So that should be cool. So thank you all for being here and sharing that with us. Yeah, so it this week was crazy. Savage Punch, yeah. It almost seemed like Games Workshop knew how that this week was so crazy because they didn't do a lot of promotions and things this week, which was kind of nice, not to have to keep track of too many things going on. But there was some new stuff that happened that's fun to talk about. Starting with, Games Workshop announced what's going to be, well, some of what's going to be happening with the store anniversaries in 2021. Yes, Arsenal Roy, we got some new hero clicks came out this week. Of course, I've had my brick for months. One of the perks of doing reviews and companies liking me, they send me this stuff way, way early. In fact, I have some other things from WizKids literally right here on my table that I can't show quite yet, but not HeroClix this time, something else. So Games Workshop, obviously, we've talked about this a lot before. They do a lot of promotions to try to get you to come into their stores. Makes sense, they're a business after all. And they want you to come, and again, the Games Workshop really does try to promote a sense of community when you go into their stores, right? There's always somebody there who's building or painting, and they run endless contests and things like that, and they're always right there to help you with, oh, you know, this is the next thing you should get, and we'll help you build it, and all that kind of stuff. But one of the other ways they get you to come into the stores is with exclusive items. So, not only is there Warhammer Day and Black Library Day and all of these other special things, but every Games Workshop or Warhammer store has its own special day, and it's its anniversary. So in theory, it's the anniversary of the day that store opened up or had its grand opening or something like that. Thank you, Uzi. It's years of practice. I'm old school. A hat is meant to have a bended brim. None of that flat garbage. Yeah, so every store has an anniversary, and on that day, you can go in and buy exclusive models. If you spend a certain amount of money, you can get access to a bunch of other swag, and it's just a way to sell more things and make more money. But very often, the exclusives they have for those anniversaries are actually really cool, and they become really sought after. So when they announce these things, everybody goes, oh my god, look at that cool stuff. And then they say, okay, well, go and check in with your local store, find out when their anniversary is, make sure they're doing all the promotions, which they all do. So let's take a look real quick at what they are. So first of all, okay, now I am juggling a bunch of windows now because I am running on StreamYard, but this should work. Okay, so we have this fine fellow, and this is the Necron, whose name is Camotep the Crooked. And he's a cool little dude. He's got little things crawling on him. He's got a lot of character, more so than a lot of other Necrons we see. And typically what happens with these special edition anniversary models is that they might have a name, they might have a description, but they're not actually a unique character. So you can swap this model in for somebody else you already have in your army. It doesn't have to be like, you're not playing this as Kamotep the Crooked. You can just play him as a Cryptek in your Necron army, which is good. So yeah, so this one is cool. Interesting that Games Workshop is doubling, tripling down on Necrons being like the poster child bad guys of this edition. So yeah, I mean it's a cool looking model. If you're into Necrons or if you want to paint something different, then he's certainly there for you. Now the other one, usually there's one from Warhammer 40k and one from Age of Sigmar. So this year is no different. And it is interesting that it's a Necron model and not a Space Marine. But we'll get plenty of Space Marines in other things. Here is the Age of Sigmar model. Okay, hold on. It doesn't like it for some reason. Let's stop that screen. Let's add a new share screen. I guess I have to add a new one each time. Okay, that's fine. I can do that. So this Chinbeards, yeah, I know that one has a crazy one. Okay, so this, who is this? What is this? What are we looking at here? So this is for Age of Sigmar, a game that we talked about a little bit. It's the fantasy game for Warhammer. No, I'm using StreamYard today because we're gonna have guests come in remotely, and StreamYard is its own. Everything has issues. It's it's all good. So in Age of Sigmar, these guys, this army, Stormcast Eternals, they're essentially the good guys. They're basically Space Marines in a fantasy game. They've got this really interesting lore that they're all reincarnated spirits of dead heroes, and they can die, but then they get reincarnated again. And every time they lose a little bit more of the memories that they once had, so that they eventually sort of turn into heroic robots. Essentially, it's pretty brutal. But yeah, and the Minotaur, of course, in this depiction didn't do so well. So this character specifically, because again, they do have names, but then you can play them as sort of whatever you want. This is the Stormcast Eternals Knight Questor Silas Beastbane. Makes sense. He's a beast. He, we'll get to that in a second, is a Beastbane because he's got that Minotaur head. You can play this model just as any Knight Questor in your army. But here's where it gets interesting. When the article announcing these things was first posted, and this was, what was it, Monday, Tuesday, something like that? Games Workshop put out a preview of these things, and there was a little bit of there's a little bit of a description for each one of these characters. Again, if you wanted to have it as a character. And what was cool and interesting is that the description for this character, Silas here, was non-binary. The description for the character used they, them pronouns. Immediately, the groups that I am in on Facebook and in other places were talking about this, saying how cool it was. And then a couple of hours later, somebody realized, Games Workshop updated the description. And it was no longer they, them pronouns. It was he, him pronouns. So for a hot minute, this was a non-binary character. And then something changed. I'm sure that just as quickly as the groups that I'm in saw the non-binary pronouns and were celebrating them, I'm sure other groups were probably not as happy with it and maybe complained, and who knows if Games Workshop cowed to those people or if it was genuinely typos and they went and fixed it. For whatever reason, Silas Beastbane here, like I said, was non-binary, but then has switched back to being a male coded character. So anyway, it is what it is. So yeah, so those are the two anniversary models. And then if you go to one of those events, like I said, there's all sorts of other cool swag that you can get, just as long as you spend enough money. They typically have tiers. It's like at $75 you can get something, at $150, at $250, and it goes up from there. Because you can imagine going to Games Workshop, they want you to buy a whole lot of stuff. And it's pretty cool though. This year there's a it's like a satchel bag that's branded with Warhammer. I have one from a couple of years ago, and it's funny because it looked really cool on the website, and I got it. Well, actually, I didn't buy it in person. I bought it from somebody else online, and it was it's like this big. It's a little small, but it's still cool. They've got dice this year, and a dice bag, and a dice tray. The typical art cards and some little novels and stuff. Ooh, Zardoz, you bought Knights at a grand opening. That's good. Yeah, it's always handy if you know you're gonna buy stuff in any significant amount, and you're gonna buy it from Games Workshop directly. You might as well try to have that coincide with an anniversary day, just so you get the extra crap, because it comes with spending more money. Okay, let me remove Silas because I have to turn that off each time. There's a small child lurking in this room. The next cool thing that Games Workshop talked about this week is White Dwarf. No, still doesn't like that. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I've been to a couple of anniversary events at stores. It's usually pretty fun. A lot of people show up for it. Oftentimes the store will have, come on. We'll have other little events going on. They'll have a bunch of people there. Ooh, a laptop bag with Miskatonic University. That's cool. Yeah, I have a generic laptop bag. I have a Star Trek Next Generation engineering themed laptop bag. And like I said, I have that little Warhammer kind of like over one shoulder bag. It's good for conventions. So White Dwarf, what is White Dwarf? It's Games Workshop's own magazine, because they don't want you just to buy models and hobby equipment and novels and apparel and everything else, but they've got a magazine too. But they actually do have some really cool stuff in White Dwarf from time to time. From my perspective, I'd say there's a lot of filler, especially because they don't really reveal things, because they're revealing things every day online. But they do have some fun stuff in the book, in the magazine. This month's is number 460. This magazine has been going on for an incredibly long period of time. But this one has some 40K stuff, including the Death Guard coming into a new war zone, if you look on the cover right there, you see that Space Marine in sort of light blue. That is a Space Marine chapter that was created by one of the Black Library authors. He goes by the initials ADB. His name is Aaron Dembski Bowden. Bowden? He's British, who knows? So he created a chapter of the Space Marines called the Emperor's Spears. They're really interesting. They have some really cool lore. They look neat. They have that light blue armor, often with white accessories. That one has like a fur coat on. So in this upcoming edition of White Dwarf, they give you like information on how to make your own Emperor Spears, how to play them, what their characters are like. It's called the Index Astartes. Basically, they give you very mini codexes for other chapters in White Dwarf, which is super neat. And if you do make your own Emperor Spears and you go on social media and tag ADB, he frequently retweets and reposts your stuff, which is neat. He's a cool dude. He appears online in a lot of interesting places. There's going to be a Blood Bowl article about the history of Blood Bowl. I think in-universe history as opposed to real-world history, but I'm not sure. And just some other fun stuff. I don't subscribe to White Dwarf, but I will pick up one here and there if they have things in it that I'm particularly interested in, which happens from time to time. As far as what's coming up sooner rather than later in Warhammer in general. Death Guard is coming very, very soon. That does tie into the guest that we're having today, who should be on at some point in a little bit. We know that the Death Guard Codex was supposed to come out at the end of last year. Things happen. The world is happening. But it is coming out soon, early 2021. And we know a whole bunch. Games Workshop has been doing a ton of previews for what is going to be in the Death Guard Codex and all the new fancy stuff they're going to have. But they added a new one today. It just takes an extra 4 clicks anytime I want to show something. That's fine. So another thing we've talked about before is that while Warhammer can seem very, very rigid as far as, okay, if you want to make an army, it has to look like this, it has to have these colors, excuse me, and so on and so forth. I mean, there are even gigantic books dedicated to one specific chapter of Space Marines that tell you exactly what every single character is supposed to look like in every part of every character. So yeah, it can certainly seem that way. But at the same time, there is a lot of customization you can do in your armies, even in an army that is as narrowly focused as something like the Death Guard. So what this is talking about here is these are options for picking what's called a plague company within your Death Guard. So yes, you are a Death Guard player, your friend is a Death Guard player, but each of you can be playing different companies of Death Guard, which gives you access to different rules, different special abilities, different characters or relics, and basically different ways of playing the same army on the battlefield, which is super cool. And it gives you some nice options. So this is for the first Plague company, and they get an optional stratagem you can use called the Wrathful Dead. Let's see, reroll the hit roll for Poxwalkers, which is pretty good. The Warlord trait called Shamble Rot. And you'll see a lot of these things refer to other new rules that the Death Guard have, like Contagion and the Nurgle's Rot abilities. So that's good. And I haven't, obviously we haven't seen the book and they haven't shown anything, but oftentimes also with these different companies, they'll also give them slightly different paint schemes or like accent colors in different places. So again, it's just something else that you can do with your Death Guard army so that not all Death Guard armies look exactly the same. And I approve of that, even if I don't necessarily approve of Death Guard in particular, because they're gross. But some people like them. Some people like Death Guard. Any Death Guard players in chat? I don't think so. Another new thing that's coming this year is Kill Team. We have not talked a lot about Kill Team on this stream, but if you are daunted by the size, the scope, the number of models and work you need to do to play Warhammer 40k, there is a... That's weird. This could be... You could play this as a Death Guard something. It's kind of hideous. Thanks. Kill Team. What is Kill Team? Kill Team is... It takes place in the Warhammer 40k universe. It uses mostly the same factions, models from those same factions, but it's a small skirmish game. So typically in Kill Team, your team, your army, will be generally 5 to 12 models, and that's it. And instead of having units of, say, 5, 10, 20, 30 models, each model is a unit unto itself. And there are lots of cool rules. Kill Team can be a fast, fun experience. I say can be because the game certainly started out that way, and then they added books after books after books to expand it until at this point, if you play with all of the rules, it's just about as complicated as actual 40k. But I do recommend it. It is really fun. See, Arsenal Roy, it got him into 40k. Yeah, it's fun. We've played that on Hyper. Maybe it'll come back again one day. Who knows? But Kill Team is great. This year they're going to do some sort of revamp to the game to bring it more in line with 9th edition. So currently Kill Team is based on 8th edition. And again, 9th edition is pretty much 8.5, so I'm not expecting a lot of huge changes to the game and the way it works, but it'll give them an opportunity to add in latest models and other sort of flavorful stuff. And I'm sure we'll see a new starter and new accessory packs you can get, and they'll put in the new terrain and everything else. So it should be good. And so anyway, Games Workshop did a little tease about how new year, new Kill Team, and they teased that things from the Indominus box. So the Assault Intercessors will be in the game, the Necron Warriors will be updated, and things like that. So that's always good. Speaking of all of these different armies, Games Workshop starting the year, FAQs, so many FAQs. If you're a person who likes to keep track of the meta for the game overall, you got a lot of reading to do, because every single army got updates and point changes and designers commentary and FAQs and just all of this stuff. So they took this opportunity to say, okay, we're going to start the year off, we're going to update everyone, we're going to try to bring everything in line, balance things out a little bit, and it's a lot. I've downloaded a bunch of them. I have not started reading them all yet. It's mostly point costs and power level adjustments. So it's not so much like, oops, we had a typo on this page, we have to fix something. It's like, okay, the game has been going on for a few months, in 9th edition at least, and this unit is a little bit too powerful. This one is not as powerful. So what things were nerfed? Well, unsurprisingly to the world, Space Marines were right at the top, and the Eradicators and Outriders weren't necessarily nerfed, they just got more expensive in points. Eradicators, we'll see how they are now with the 5-point increase, but before that, Eradicators were pretty much point for point the most powerful damage dealing unit in the game. You wouldn't see any Space Marine player playing without Eradicators, or they'd just be laughed out of the game. So now at 5 points more per model, hopefully it'll bring them a little bit more in line. The Outriders were also very, very powerful. The Catan Shard of the Nightbringer also went up in points, so it's a little bit more expensive. And sad to say for the people who were abusing it, but there was a loophole. Oh, I should have brought out the model. I built it on stream, the Invader ATV. So it's a 4-wheeled Space Marines bike. 2 little dudes on it. Pretty good for the points, especially. It's fast. It's got a good heavy weapon on it. And with a rules loophole based on the keywords it had or didn't have, an apothecary, a little medic, could heal it if it got damaged and do all sorts of shenanigans. And so they removed that. It can no longer do that. They also they buffed the Canoptech Reanimator. They made it cheaper, so it's now easier to field that, because I think they wanted to see that on more tables, and nobody was playing it because it just wasn't good enough for the points. But these things happen. What are you gonna do? So yeah, like I said, I have yet to read through all of that information, but I'm going to. At some point, I'll read it all. Yeah, the 4-wheeler is no longer... You can't just like... Whoop, come back to life. Heal up. Let's see if our... I think our guest is ready to join us. Are you ready? No, I couldn't hear you. I was just looking for a thumbs up. Hello.
Hey.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
Well, above the circumstances, I'm fine.
Okay, good.
But
yes, it's been an interesting week.
yeah, to say the least. Yeah, it's been a time. What a time to be.
Yeah. Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm fine.
Okay, cool.
How about you?
Good. About the same. Had a couple days this week were not productive at all,
Yeah.
but getting back into it.
Yeah, I totally understand.
Yes.
So,
Well,
yeah, I'm excited to be here. So,
cool. You are our first guest, our first official guest on this stream. That's been going on for a couple months now.
okay.
So we're gonna, yeah.
Jessica's here or no?
Not at the moment. She'll be joining us in a little bit.
Oh,
She
gotcha.
had a lot of stuff going on today.
Gotcha. Okay. Well,
So we're here to talk about Warhammer. And this was a
Yes.
good day to have you on because we were actually just talking about Death Guard a little bit before. Nothing too bad.
look, I haven't personally played Death Guard since season 1 of Grimdark Dawn, so
Okay,
I'm
well,
kind of out of the loop.
Are you interested in the new codex when it comes out?
Well, I'm in an interesting position now, as opposed to a couple of years ago. We did Grimdark Dawn,
Sure.
the first season when I was playing Death Guard. Now I'm more of like in the GM seat now. But the short answer, yes, I'm interested. But
Okay.
I don't think I'll be playing them. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you some questions. You can answer them however you would like and certainly expound on anything that you want to talk about.
Yeah.
So before you got into Warhammer, what did you know about it or what did you think about it? If that makes sense.
Yeah, so when I when I first heard about it, well, before I even heard about it, I knew of it. I knew of Warhammer in the 40K universe. I often at first got the Space Marines confused with the Marines in StarCraft because they looked similar.
Sure.
Uh,
Yeah.
So prior to learning about Warhammer, I didn't know much about it other than that a lot of death occurs and it's very hard, has a very hardcore base with the miniatures and just lore in general. It was a bit intimidating to jump into that, but knowing people like you and Bert that were in it beforehand, it was kind of easy at the same time to like streamline myself into it though.
Cool. Yeah, and I was similar to that as well. Being a nerd and a hobby person and playing HeroClix, like Warhammer was always around. I was like, oh, that's a Warhammer thing, but yeah, it wasn't until the right circumstances happened that got me to say, all right, I'll try that game. And yeah, it was friends of mine who had already been playing for decades, I think, and they were like, oh, you're finally going to try it? Okay, here, let us show you. Here are all the things.
Yeah.
So how did you get into Warhammer, Naeem?
Oh man, it all started with, I don't know what show was going on because at the time I was working at Hyper RPG, and Bert had came home one afternoon after work, and he was just jazzed about these robots that he was. At the time, I didn't know anything of him. It was just these
Sure.
robots in Warhammer that he was like really jazzed about reading, and he like we were talking, and he was selling me on the idea of what Warhammer was or is, and that he plays or he's interested in playing the Tau, and I was like, all right, it's cool. And then that's when talks behind the scenes were starting about doing a Warhammer show, and how much stuff was going to be going on in the show itself with the metagame and all that stuff. So with the combination of those two piquing my ears, I started looking into it more, and then I think the selling point was for me was that one, I think it was a Sunday, Lucas asked me, you want to go to this Games Workshop store to like check out the stuff? I was like, yeah, sure. And it was me, Lucas, and Matt. I believe it was Matt. I think it was Matt, and yeah, it was just us three. Did you go with us? No.
Not that time, no.
Okay. Yeah, it was us three. We just got in Lucas's car and just went to the Games Workshop, and just the amount of stuff that was in that store in terms of Warhammer was just overwhelming, and then they had this I guess play area. You could try out one of the teams at a time. It was Space Marines, and Death Guard was the big push for 8th edition. And yeah, I just went down a big wormhole of just stuff. So yeah, so that's pretty much how it started.
So it sounds like for you, and it's kind of an interesting because sort of all of these things came together at once. Because people around you were already into it, and there were vague discussions of things happening at Hyper. Because usually people get into the game either through the video games or from looking at a tabletop game to play or reading the books or like seeing the miniatures first. But it was kind of more of a combination for you of all of these things.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of them happening all at once.
Yeah. Yeah. I spent, I think it was almost $300 that day on just stuff. It was absurd. And then I went back even more afterwards to that store and spent more money. So.
Yeah. Well, as we were just talking about, if anybody has an interest in doing something like that and getting into the game, wait for your store's anniversary day, because the more money you spend, the more access you get to free crap.
Yeah.
So save that for that specific day.
I wish I would have known that day. Good Lord.
That's funny. So Death Guard was your first army, right?
Yeah, and it wasn't my first choice at first until I, went into that store. It was originally, I was looking around, and I was going to try Space Marines out, but I originally thought that someone had already taken Space Marines, because they're supposed to be like the real most popular faction in Warhammer, and so I had thought someone took it, so I was like, I won't do them. And then I looked at Adeptus Mechanicus, and they looked really interesting, but then as I was going to go pick them up, that's when the worker was like, hey, you should try these. Try them out. And that was Space Marine versus Death Guard. And then that's when I went down a wormhole of Death Guard, especially since the the employee there was a Death Guard player. And I think it was Oscar that was there.
I was going to say, I think that's our mutual friend, Oscar. Yeah.
Yeah. So they both the manager and Oscar was just selling me on Death Guard. So I was like, all right, well, they're my team now. So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, that's how you got to pick your first army. And now I know that along with a lot of other players like myself and other people, that would not be your final army. You have a couple of subsequent armies. So tell us about some of the other armies that you have played or have built.
Well, of course, Death Guard. And then after going to that store so many times, they like, oh, well, why don't you try Chaos Demons? Okay, well, I now have a Chaos Demons army that's focused on, Nurgle, as a sub detachment. Then I went down another rabbit hole. Well, you should try out Thousand Sons, because they're pretty cool. And so I got a Thousand Sons army. I built a Thousand Sons army, and then they were like, "Oh, well, there's also Chaos Demons on that and Tzeentch. Then you should get some demons in that." Oh, so now I have a Chaos Demons Tzeentch army. Going down the rabbit hole, and they're like, "Oh, at the time, I think also last summer or the summer before that, the 2019, I think they were pushing for Chaos Knights, where they had launched with them.
Right. Yeah.
Or I think they were called Renegade Knights at the time or something like that. So Oscar was one of the people that were like, oh, you definitely should get, these knights into your army because they will go so well with your, Death Guard. So I now have a few units, and it doesn't take many units to form an army for Chaos Knights at the time, or I think it's still the same way nowadays.
Yeah.
So now I have a Chaos Knights detachment for Death Guard, and I bought more knights, not recently, just at the time, that can compensate for both Thousand Suns and
Mm-hmm.
now AdMech, which going to AdMech. All right,
Right.
I think I had enough of demons. I want to try something new. Well, Space Marines. I'm everyone plays Space Marines,
Sure. Sure.
so I went back into looking at AdMech, and now I have an Adeptus Mechanicus army with a detachment of Imperial Knights. So it's, I think, how much army is that? I lost count. Oh, on top of that, no, I think that's it. I think that's all the armies I got.
Okay. Yeah, I think counting the knights as being able to play them on their own, I think that's 7. But again, like, but several of the things you say, like, you can play together, so it's not
Yeah,
necessarily, yeah, 6 or 7.
yeah.
Wow.
So I
But now,
have that money.
but you also did the smart thing, and some of what you have you bought secondhand, right? It wasn't all things that
Yeah,
you bought to build yourself.
yeah. At the time, and still nowadays, I don't have enough time to paint everything and put together.
Sure.
And, yeah, as much as I enjoy it, because I do enjoy painting and putting this army together, it's very therapeutic. And to create
Mm.
a model and make it to an army or a unit and then to an army, um, I just don't have time to like, especially because I'm very picky about putting certain paints together and
Mm.
schemes and all that. I don't have time, so I started to look into. I think it was either you or Oscar that told me about looking at eBay
Yeah.
for units that you just don't feel like or can't put together. And yeah, so I started buying on eBay, and man, eBay is another rabbit hole that's like very dangerous because I think
Yes.
just in 2019 alone, that was when
Mm.
when Dark Dawn had started. I think I
Yeah.
had spent nearly $2,000-3,000 just on eBay. It's insane. Um, yeah. So yes.
But for that money though, you can get some really crazy deals. Like
Oh yeah.
people sell entire armies, like fully built, painted armies
Yeah.
for pennies on the dollar of what it would cost in materials and time for you to do it. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah. And there's so many creative people out there that just put together these awesome creations, uh, these awesome paint schemes, these
Hmm.
awesome bases that they're standing on. That's just freaking nuts. Like, and I want all of them, but I don't have the funds or probably the room at this point to like hold all that. But it's really
Yeah.
cool to see all that stuff once it's all finished, and even the process of doing it. So
Hmm.
yeah,
And another, talking about value, the demons, we haven't talked about this much here on this channel, but Chaos Demons are one of the rare times in the universe of Games Workshop where you you actually get double the value if you play Age of Sigmar, because
yeah,
they're an entire army that you can pick up. You can literally play in 40K, pick it up, and then play in Age of Sigmar, which is technically a totally different game,
yep,
but you've got your own army for that too. So
yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Technically, yeah. Now there's two more armies because Zinch
Hmm.
is army, right? And
Yeah.
Age of Sigmar, yeah. So I have the 8 armies. Yeah, and that kind of segued to me jumping into Sigmar for a bit when I think Joe Star and
Hmm.
Bert talked about playing Sigmar because Joe is into Sigmar more than 40K. But
Yeah.
yeah, we decided to play one morning back at the old Hyper Studio, and it was myself, Bert, Joe, and there's another guy that I don't remember his name, but I forget what army he has. But yeah, that was the introduction to me playing Sigmar.
Hmm.
And then we did another Sigmar game, and you was involved, and Bert wasn't. I don't think Bert was there this time, but it was me, you. I don't remember. It was a couple other people that was there,
Yeah.
but I don't remember specifically who that was. But I know you were there because we were at your house. Uh, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, yeah. And then yeah, Joe and a friend of
and Joe,
his.
yeah,
Yeah.
Joe was there, and
Yeah.
I don't. Was it his friend? I don't
I think
remember.
I think so.
Oh, Negi was there. Negiyama.
Yes,
heat
that's true.
plated armor.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that it's just jumping further down a rabbit hole. And I did look. I was at one point before the pandemic hit. I was looking at a Sigma army to start up and work on. I think it was the guys with the sharks was one that interested me the most. I forget the name of
Oh,
them.
yeah. The underwater, the Ideneth Deepkin.
Yes. Yeah, they interested me, and I was about to go full on to get in that army, but then the pandemic hit. I was like, oh well, there's more things that I need to focus on, like living and
Sure. Yeah.
saving money. Yeah. So yes, a rabbit
Cool.
hole.
Sure, yeah. It tends to happen. So when you look at your armies, whether it's the building and painting aspect or actually playing it and coming up with a narrative, do you tend to stick with like mainly things from the lore? Do you come up with your own characters and your own like custom? Obviously, not a whole custom chapter or legion, but like we were talking about before that now even Death Guard, who seem like who seem like such like a monolithic army, that even Games Workshop has made it so that like you can play different companies, which give you options for doing a little bit of a different paint or a little bit of a different feel to your army. So do you like going with like what the lore gives you, or making up your own?
I
Or both.
generally so far have stuck to the lore because just reading the lore itself is very interesting. Why certain detachments within that army has slightly different colored alteration. What's the story behind, say, what was it called? The Anvil, I think. Mortarian's Anvils or something. I forget what the official name is called for Mortarian's brigade or
Yeah.
section. But yeah, just looking at it, there's already a bunch of cool ideas already within the lore that I just didn't have I wouldn't say I didn't have a desire. It was already enough stuff there that I was already occupied in that fashion. But as I said earlier, there was a lot of creative people that have made awesome works of their own, like with the I think it was the Grot Imperium army, the Grot equivalent to the Astra Militarum or something like that. They made some Grot army that looked had the clothes on and whatnot, and then the Buzz Lightyear Space Marines.
Sure. Yep.
And just stuff like that. I just like to appreciate and just look from afar and just like, yeah, that's pretty cool. So I haven't made any myself, but I'm always appreciative of just seeing new stuff that people make.
Cool. So, we have we have a question from the audience. Andy Campbell, thank you so much for resubscribing. Who asked, "Who's the jobber on the right?" That is our special guest, Naeem Stewart, joining us, talking about his many Warhammer armies.
Look, I think as much, well, as how many armies I have, I guess it still pales in comparison to the many absurd amounts that diehard fans have. So
that's true. That is very true. And again, we've talked about there are people in the meta who will literally play an army until it's no longer good, and then get rid of that army and start a new army, and then leapfrog even within a year going through different things.
I've heard people that were trying to. I haven't read too much into the updated stuff for Death Guard, but some diehard fans aren't happy about it, and they started selling their armies. I'm like, you spent how much money for your army? I don't get too deep into, like, say, I guess they're doing it for the competitive scene because a lot of competitive players want to get like the best of the best to win these tournaments, and I personally am a competitive person, but not to that extent to where I have to put all the time and effort to creating this army, then you sell them for the next best thing. So
that's chasing a whole different kind of rabbit going through there. We have another question from the audience. Arsenal Roy 2K asks, how much time was spent strategizing with Adriosa before the games? The games when you and her would be partnered up, which was sometimes depending on what the storyline was.
Well, okay. It would depend. I mean, we morally strategized in the second season versus the first. Because the
Mhm.
first one was like, I don't think that was planned. It just happened based on the scenario
Yeah.
of what was happening in one of the battles. But yeah, in the second season, we would just talk prior to that episode, whether because we used to work together, and uh, so it was easy for me to like communicate with her um, one-on-one about certain things, and she would say that she would want a certain type, I guess, like she wants more
Mm.
shooting units as opposed to melee, which then
Yeah.
I will just put her units in that type of category, like she would use the armigers, for example,
Mhm.
um, as a more distance range shooting uh, to satisfy her need to kill. So she will tell me
Sure.
what she wants, and I'll just make the list to fit what she wants. So
It also seemed like a lot of the strategy was not so much like what units are we playing, but more who are we playing against and how can we get under their skin.
yeah. I think for the second season in particular, I toned it down in terms of being competitive because I
Hmm.
know in the first season, especially the first couple episodes with Death Guard was there, I
Yeah.
just basically steamrolled. And
Yeah.
it was at one point where Malika and Zach was like, "Yeah, we want you to be evil, yeah, and push towards that, which is fine, but just please don't steamroll us to the point where." And I was like, "All right, yeah, I get it, it's fine. So you gotta make a show, which I had to get used to
Right.
doing."
Yeah. We didn't want all of the characters dying in just the first couple
Yeah,
episodes.
yeah.
I mean,
Well,
a couple
I
of them, but
mean,
not all of them.
look, I would forever give Malika shit for what happened in the first ever episode, Grim Dark Dawn, of just putting her units right in
Just
front of the
right out.
enemy.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So I will never let that go for her. But yeah, there was a thing I had to get used to with playing the game versus being on a show, and just sort
Yeah.
of balance that out. And so with the second season, I kind of had more fun just being not fully just stupid, but just easing off the more of a competitive side. I mean, I did. There's times though where if I'm facing
Hmm.
John's really good. I have to sort of play more strategic, I get, with John because we
Sure.
both are very competitive.
Yeah.
And John will probably not admit that, but our games we play at a certain
Hmm.
point will like get a little bit more serious. But for mostly everyone else, it was just like, whatever. I mean, I was doing more trolly stuff, especially with the demons,
Sure.
especially to piss off like Bert, because it's hilarious. But yeah,
Yeah, I think some of those games, like you're saying, you and John, where like at some point, yeah, all of a sudden, like the talk would go down, and you'd be
yep,
like really looking at the board,
yep, yeah,
and like
yeah.
really focused in on what to
Yeah,
do.
I love playing against John because he's a great player. He's also a
Hmm.
great RP
Yeah.
too with his characters of the orcs. But yeah, at some points during the battle, we would just dial down, just focus on the battle at hand. So, but it was fun. So.
Yeah. Oh,
And it
and
would be
Janelle.
like it would always like fall at the last turn, so it would be
Hmm.
that close all the
Yeah.
time. So
Yeah. I mean, that's how you know you have good games when it comes
yeah,
down to the very end.
yeah, yeah.
Janelle, again, thank you so much for the resubscription. She's Scott versus Naeem. Witcher when? Hmm. I
What,
don't know.
wrestling? look, I look, I as much as I and this is gonna segue to something
Uh,
different than Warhammer, but I love my character in the wrestling. I don't know if is an official name for this federation or organization,
well, I mean, it's the
but
Home Buddies. Home Buddies Wrestling something. It does
yeah.
have a name. I can't remember exactly what it is. Andy's gonna book
But
it though.
well, I don't know if you're still a champion, are you?
No, not currently, but I will be again. It
I
was
got you. I
stolen.
got you. It was stolen. Okay.
Yep, stolen.
Oh, I enjoy watching them, and I just wish that my character wasn't so stupid in certain points, just staring at things. There'd be times where I'm watching him and he's just I know it's computer,
Right.
it just stands above.
Basically just standing there, just yep.
And you can easily finish this off, and just finish or win or whatever. But I try not to take that too serious. But it's fun to watch.
He's definitely a creeper. Your character.
Yeah, it's fun to watch these. So I do. It's fun to watch.
Fair. So let's talk for a minute more about Grimdark Dawn, because obviously we started the show. You were a player and working on the show behind the scenes, but more recently you've now taken over the behind the scenes for the show, right? So what are the differences there, and what are the challenges in taking a game like Warhammer and putting it on screen and making it something that's accessible and fun for people to watch, that doesn't take a million hours? Yeah, because it's certainly a challenge that we've been working on for a few years now.
Yeah. Well, I was kind of already doing that in a way with the Road to Warhammer stuff, making some sort of story that would be a continuous thing every week, and then helping Brandon along with you with figuring out a story for this for Dark Dawn was fun in itself. I always wanted to do a story for Warhammer, and given the opportunity to GM it, and whenever we get past this pandemic,
sure,
to once again dive into jumping in and creating a new story. I don't know if it'll be called Grimdark Dawn. I have no idea what's happening in terms of
that's fair. Yeah,
Hyper.
And that's what I always talk about. I said I'd love to go back to Hyper and do more Warhammer stuff. I have no idea what anyone's plans are, so I'm open, and we'll see what happens.
The only thing I've been told is, hey, Brandon decided that, because Brandon's busy himself with the job that he's doing with Walking Dead, and Malik was like, hey, Brandon decided he wants to hand over the reins to me. I was like, great, and whenever this pandemic stuff passed, that's when we could jump in and dive in fully to creating a show Warhammer specific, and maybe even, because I know beforehand we were planning on doing something with Blood Bowl, but then it happened. So there's stuff I've written in terms of story for the potential future of Warhammer with Hyper. That it will be interesting to continue to flesh out and whatnot, but as I said earlier, the plans for Warhammer right now in terms of a full featured show like Grimdark Dawn is in limbo right now because of the pandemic.
Sure. That's totally fair and understood. Okay. Favorite character in 40K? Go. In the actual lore. Or in Grimdark Dawn lore, I guess. That works too.
Jesus Christ. Characters we made for that show. It's a toss up between.
I have a guess.
Who is the guess?
My guess is Typhon.
Typhus?
Yeah. I go back to his early name. But yes.
That was his early name? I didn't know that.
Well, yeah, his name changed in the Horus Heresy.
Typhus is a dick.
Wow. All right.
He's
okay. All right.
He's an asshole. And just you bringing up his name just brought back memories of the first season from Dark Dawn, how we dealt with him.
Sure.
But wasn't he the reason why Death Guard are there now?
Oh yeah.
I kind of like Ahriman a lot.
Okay.
As a favorite, it's a toss up between Ahriman and God, what's his name from Adeptus Mechanicus? why am I drawing a blank on his name after I've said his name so many times? He's the main reason why Space Marines Primarch Prime.
Oh, Call Belisarius
Yes,
Call.
yes, Belisarius Call. It's a toss up between those two. So, although I am reading lore from the Salamanders lately, and the Primarch on there is really interesting.
Vulcan.
Yeah, Vulcan.
Vulcan. Yeah, Vulcan is super interesting. There's a lot of weird. Oh, hold on. I think we're. Can I get a thumbs up if you're ready to join? Can you hear me?
I'm here.
Let's just do it.
Okay.
Let's just.
I
Hello.
can't hear you guys. I don't know why.
Uh-oh.
Jeez.
I'll figure it out. But also,
Okay.
Naeem.
Hi. I haven't talked to you.
I can't hear you.
Oh,
but also, this is
can't hear
my
us.
kitty.
Good lord.
Oh.
Okay,
There's-
give me 2 seconds.
there's-
I'm
okay.
Gonna,
Okay.
I'll be right back.
All right. So be it. What was I just about to say? Oh, yeah. So Vulcan. So, yeah, for those of you... I've talked about Primarchs a million times, but, yeah, Vulcan is... In a sea of characters who you can... In the Imperium, like, you can consider most of the characters, like, somewhat good, but, you know, not really all... Vulcan is one of, like, the actual good guys.
Yeah.
He's
yeah.
always depicted as like looking out for humans, loving humans, wanting to protect them at any cost. Like he's definitely one of the best of the good guys.
Yeah, yeah. I know like there's a big thing with Warhammer. There's no good guys in Warhammer, but he's probably the closest. I think.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, for sure. Okay, so what is what is your favorite model that you've built and painted, or painted, whatever?
I don't know if I could pick one, because there's some that are like really freaking cool that I've done. Like, I have some of them now.
Yeah, let's see.
The now I don't remember the names fully.
Nice. There we go.
For some reason, I'm drawing blanks on them. But this one from Adeptus Mechanicus was really fun to make. And I like the structure of it a lot.
Is it a Dune crawler?
Dune
Is
Rider,
it that?
Dune Crawler. Sorry.
Something like that.
Yeah, Dune Crawler was one of my favorites to make and paint, and also I think also Magnus was another one. I can't pick one. Magnus was another one that
or a few. That's fine.
I'm still not
Yeah.
finished making this one. I gotta finish the base whenever I have time. Which
Sure.
Magnus was another one that I loved painting, and then also this gross guy was another one that was fun. It's actually much easier than I thought because it's just mainly just a prime of the green and then just filling out the details, and then I think the Rubic Marines, God, why am I drawing? I used to say this off the bat, like easy. What unit is this? Blah blah. Rubic Marines, the Terminators, were really fun to make. So
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't really have a one favorite, but
sure. Well, even just in those, you can see like the different styles of painting you can do on some of these models.
yeah,
Right, like something
yeah.
like those Rubric Marines, so different from the Great Unclean One, and just like the techniques you would use.
Yeah, so I mean the Plague Marines are like really easy to do. You just, like I said, prime green and then just fill out the details, and then that's it. The Rubric Marines, while they're really pretty, the design, but they're really hard for me at least, because you have to fill out the details for the Egyptian style.
Yeah, like the crest.
headdress
Yeah.
they wear and whatnot. So you had to get used to using a fine brush just to fill out those tiny details, just differentiating blue to yellow to blue to yellow. So, so yeah, though they're fun, but they're once you finish them, they're nice, but they are kind of a headache at the same time early
Sure.
on.
Yeah.
Then AdMech is just fun. I really want to build out the new flyers they got
Yeah.
recently. So whenever I get a chance to, I'll fill that out.
Rabid Wombat said he came in just in time to realize he is still garbage at painting. Rabid Wombat, that is not true, and you know it. First of all, everybody has different painting techniques and styles, and yourself looks great. Come on.
Yeah, didn't she really recently do what Space Marines? Oh God, what are they? Golden.
Yeah, no, the custodians, the custodians. Yeah, and his look awesome.
They look really good. Like really,
Yeah,
really.
for sure.
Shut your mouth, Robin.
Right. Now obviously you have this AdMech army that you've been working on, but you haven't really have you gotten to play that very much? Because
the only time in terms of playing at Hyper,
yeah,
I've only played them twice. One which was during our like mid-season or mid-off thing we did with Kill Team. That was one time, and then I played him once as a guest. I think I was for placing Matt, or it was like a guest appearance of a different character that I portrayed within AdMech. That's when I got
yeah.
So, but I didn't play that. I did play with John and Bert on TTR on the what's it called the
on
computer.
Tabletop Simulator.
Yeah,
And Naeem, I
I
think it's really interesting that you've been talking so much about Warhammer and your experience, but I really, really want to dig down deeper because Scott's just like skating the surface of, of Warhammer, just dancing around the topic why we're really here. So, why are Tau the worst?
I don't have an issue
It's
with
a good
Tau.
question.
I mean, I don't have a real personal issue with Tau. I just, ever since that first, I guess, official game we did at Hyper, it was me against Bert, and we just, on a whim, just did that. Just hearing Bert complaining about the lack of what Tau could do versus certain factions is just funny to me. And Tau are just easy to beat on. To me personally, as long as Bert is playing. But
you have a responsibility to this community, and people take your opinion very seriously. So here on this channel, because of your opinion that you've expressed, a lot of us dislike the Tau just because of how much.
It's not just me.
That's very true. Yeah,
Tau is just the little brother that just gets beat on. Because they're like relatively new, I think, in terms of factions introduced, right?
Overall, yeah, one of the more recent ones. But that's funny. Yeah. Bert. It was really sad.
Bert paints a target on his back in a way I do sometimes, but in a more like, because it's so easy to hurt him, you got to but like I do that in a lot of my relationships where like I know that I'll be the heel, guys. It's okay. Like we all need someone to make fun of. You're gonna do it anyway. I'll do it first. But Bert cares so much that it is precious that we have to make it burn. We have to let it burn.
No, I mean yes, he does care about the Tau, but listen, I love Bert, and I think he told me recently that had he not known, because he was the same when he was picking his army, he had thought people would want to go to the Space Marines, and he was like, had he not known that nowadays he would have not picked the Tau, he would have gone straight Space Marines and Imperium. So, like I said, I don't have anything personally against the Tau itself. I just like playing.
I'm going to pull up a clip here of you talking shit. We have a private recording between you and your girlfriend talking shit personally about. Okay.
Yeah, that's a lie.
Yeah, no, I'll never forget some of those early games with Bert and with his Tau, and he was so excited to play. And they were like, "Okay, so psychic phase, so we're gonna skip you, Bert." And he'd be like, "Oh, wait, I can't do anything." Oh, right, I can't do anything. And then we'll get to melee, and like, "Okay, Bert, we'll skip you." And, oh, I can't do that either. And then there's like the crushing realization that this army looks cool and it's neat, and I bought a whole bunch of it, but I can't do all the things that I was really excited to try out.
Yeah, and. Like I said, they do look cool. They look really cool, especially if you like mechs, and like Gundam series, for example, has some inspiration with that. But they are lacking in certain areas, specifically, obviously, the psychic phase. and they hit on 4s, which is dumb. They're supposed to be like an advanced army that are knowledge enough to be able to targets easily, but they hit on 4s, which is baffling.
I have a question then, Scott. Has the new codex come out for the Tau yet?
Not a full codex. They've gotten like a mini set of rules. That's what they've basically done for everybody so far. Is like you get a little bit of fun stuff, but yeah, not the whole thing.
Is there an expectation for their competency in battle to be increased, or?
I mean the one thing that they did get so far is actually pretty good, because again, Tau are traditionally a ranged army. They do have some melee capability, but it's not much. So in this edition, Overwatch is not free. You have to pay. Basically, you can only
Command point.
Right, you have to pay a command point, and typically you can only overwatch with one unit each turn. So if you're being charged by a whole bunch of stuff, you can only shoot it once. Tau can overwatch for free as many times as they want. Legally, of course, there are other issues, but so they do have a big they do have a big buff against getting attacked in melee.
Yeah. I don't think. Well, Bert may have to correct me on this, but I don't even think Bert likes the Tau anymore.
they're definitely not his focus anymore.
Yeah, he's well into, like, say, White Scars right now and Black Templars.
And Black Templars, yeah, he's moved on.
Yeah, he pretty much moved on.
What a fickle boy! What a fickle boy.
I mean, look, he's much. I would assume he's much more happier with this Imperium in general, and they're a better army, in my opinion, but or have better armies. But yeah, you would have to ask Bert if you ever have him on as a guest.
No,
I'm sure at some point. No. No, okay.
Naeem, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Depending on the overall circumstances of just what's going on outside. Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah.
I've been putting it this way to everybody that, like, it's for the first time ever, two things can be true and it's okay. Like, where you're like, I'm very grateful that I got to eat food today, and there's heaters in my house, and also I'm really depressed, or this fucking shit sucks. So it is a really interesting dichotomy that it is true that you're okay and also not okay.
Yeah, that's what I am leaning on as well. I mean, I couldn't be happier to still have a job in this situation and be able to work and just continue to do what I'm doing. But at the same time, it is stressful to know that people are suffering and dying out there because of this. Both the pandemic and how people are handling it.
And that's why we're going to kick Andy out of the chat right now, because it's so tone deaf.
Oh, I love that comment.
So
never been better with the crying. Yeah.
So have you been doing any commissioned artwork in the Warhammer world, or?
No, not in Warhammer. I've been doing commissions in general, but not for Warhammer. As I was saying earlier, I don't really have too much time to be able to paint even my own miniatures that are what's left to paint. So, yeah, in terms of Warhammer, no.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on. I think we're.
Well, actually, that brings up a good question. Naeem, would you ever consider doing? If you had the time and the bandwidth, would you ever consider doing painting commissions of miniatures for people?
Yeah, I was going to do. Yeah, I was going to do. At one point, I was going to do one for a friend that was on as a guest on Grimdark Dawn for AdMech. Well, no, he's for Astro Militarum. I forget his name. He was on D&DW.
Oh yeah. Yes.
I think his name's Sean. But
Sean Ryan.
Yeah, Sean Ryan. I was going to do a paint scheme for him for his AdMech that he had bought at the time, but it kind of fell through. So, but yeah, I would consider it. Yeah, depends on how much money.
Okay,
and
sure.
How the things work.
Makes sense. Yeah, because I see people doing that online, and it always seems really interesting because how do you how do you determine how much you charge, and everybody has like different levels. Like, oh well, a level 1 paint job is this much, but a level 3, whoa, that's a whole different story.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess a lot of people probably aren't going to pay for a level 1 paint job right now because no one's trying to like just get it tournament ready at the moment.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah. All right, so Naeem, so what is next for your Warhammer experience? Are you gonna continue adding to your AdMech? Are you gonna sit tight for the time being?
I think finishing the AdMech will probably be my like foreseeable thing that I do in terms of miniatures. But now that I'm the GM, my focus would be on trying to get that, handled and situated once this pandemic is over and we can safely proceed to continuing the show. So
That would be nice. Yeah, Jessica, I don't know if you heard that Naeem, going forward, assuming Warhammer happens again at Hyper with guests and things, that Naeem is in charge of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So did they fire you, Scott?
Well, no, I was ever in charge of it. I'm just.
I know, but like,
I'm
are
just
you
a part of it.
a pawn? Congratulations, Naeem. I think that's awesome. And are you excited? How do you feel your competency with like the game running? Do you feel like you have to do a lot of like research before you get into it, or like, not to say, I'm not suggesting you're incompetent with that, but like it will suffice you to know a lot about multiple armies now, or right?
Well,
am I crazy?
No. I'm fortunate to have like someone like Scott there to be like the what is your name, Rubicon, the all sea of information that I can just pull from. So it's much easier to like figure out, hey, would this scheme or this storyline work if we combine these armies X, Y, and Z? And if they do work, cool. If not, then we can work around it or figure it out, alternate way of doing it. So. I think it won't be much different in terms of how we were doing things in the previous seasons versus, how we'll do things in the future. So yeah, like I said, having Scott there is a great benefit.
Oh no, I think you're going to be wonderful. I think that's so exciting. I'm excited to see you role play as like extra characters in it as well too.
Well, yeah, I'm excited about that too, and I got a chance in a way to do that with the RPG we did a couple of months back last year. That was my first GM thing that we did. Forget what's the system called?
The Wrath and Glory.
Wrath and Glory.
Oh.
Yeah, and I got to RP, as several characters as the cast was interacting with what was going on. So it was fun. And I'm looking forward to doing more stuff like that.
How do you feel about the fact that I killed your character when I guessed it on only one show?
I don't think you killed him.
I did. And then they didn't honor that. Do you remember that, Scott?
I do remember something like that happening, and then there was some sort of plot armor that saved the character at the last second.
I just like haven't forgotten that that's what happened, and I
fair,
rolled really well, and orcs prevailed. Thank you, Arsenal Roy. See, it actually did happen.
I'm sure there's a clip somewhere. There's a.
Well, yeah, but whatever the GM says, it goes. So it apparently didn't happen. So it's up to the GM.
Yeah. All right, but I'm gonna go with Scott plot armor argument. And
look, it was the GM's choice, and what
seeing your crushed face was worth it enough. Everyone's looking at me like, what?
Well, look, I was just having fun in the moment. I had to act as if I was crushed, but it was a fun time. I didn't expect it would go like that in terms of how it went down. I think it was something to do with like the chaos element that we had implemented in the game, and I don't think we thought too of that happening, honestly. But it was funny to see. But yeah.
No, the pleasure was all mine for sure.
You never know what's gonna happen.
It was me getting back at you for you pushing me away so unceremoniously at 2-Bit Circus, and that
That was
like
3 years ago.
I know, and I've never forgotten it.
I keep seeing that clip.
That's what I'm
You
It keeps
saying.
popping up.
Look, listen, Jessica.
Are we not
I-
friends anymore? Okay.
No. Yeah, I adore you. Okay.
Okay, good. That's all I wanted.
I
to
was
hear.
just caught off guard at the moment. I was focusing and dialed on work.
I know.
And you just caught me off guard, and that was my response to anyone that would just sneak up and try to hug me. But it wasn't that I hated you. I don't hate you.
I didn't think you did. Oh my god,
Oh.
that's not what I'm suggesting. It was 100% fight or flight reaction.
Yeah.
It was
I was in
100%.
I was in an environment that I wasn't too aware of or too familiar with, and I was making sure things were running for my job.
I gotcha. And
Okay.
I learned a lot in that in exchange. So
Yeah, but any other
Wow.
time, you're welcome to give me a hug or whatever.
okay,
so.
next time I will call it out and it'll be good.
Naeem, I'm about to give you a hug. Is that okay? do I have your
oh my
Do I
God.
have your consent?
Oh my god, I'm just hashing all the moments that we've spent together over the years. That's all. I there's no hard feelings whatsoever.
Yeah, yeah,
That's fair.
yeah. You are fine with me, Jessica.
I know.
Okay.
But am I fine with you? Wait, are you? Never mind. Okay, carry on. What else do you have to ask him?
Okay. Well, I was just going to let you know, Naeem, we, in conjunction with Zardoz and John and some other really cool people, we're actually embarking on a cool project. And if you're interested, we can give you more information as we put it together. But do you know how Games Workshop does the Armies on Parade events? Where you have your army and then you build a display for them and you bring it to the store.
Oh,
It's those display boards.
correct. Yeah.
So we're basically doing that for ourselves though, just for cool people. And so it is not affiliated with Games Workshop. You could take the one that you build with us and then take it to Games Workshop if you wanted to compete in something, but we are calling it the Armies on Display. And we're aiming to have it done by November of 2022. So there's lots of time. But I'll share the information with you as we go in case you want to join in. It should be fun.
Yeah. Why not? Yeah. It sounds fun.
Jessica's gonna do it. She's gonna do a whole new army.
I say a lot of things.
What army are you gonna do? Because the
I'm
only
gonna
army
play a
I've
whole
seen
new
you play
army.
with is orcs, but I don't know if you still feel the same way as or no, it's nothing bad. I'm just saying that's the only army I've seen you play.
No, I'm recalling that maybe I did hypothesize doing another army with Scott while on stream because there's like one that I maybe saw you had painted or something. I was like, oh shit, that looks cool. But I still feel the same about orcs. I remember when we were all like thinking it like similar to like Bert and like everyone's like, oh, I'll do this army, I'll do that army.
Yeah.
Scott was like trying to facilitate everyone finding armies, and because I was so chaotic at Hyper to begin with, I was obviously going to have to say yes to orcs, and I've really learned to love them because of that. So I think my goal, if I do armies on display with orcs, is to make them really elegant somehow,
Okay.
like
Yeah.
on vacation or something.
That
But
could
yeah,
work.
I do
Dude,
like
that could
I do
work,
like
actually.
orcs. I haven't been or maybe I'll do a nursery. Like, how do they pluck their babies out of the
That
ground?
could be cool.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going somewhere else with it.
Oh my god, no. But pluck rhymes with another word. But I haven't done another army yet aesthetically, because for more like what would draw me is the aesthetics of something.
Sure.
So I haven't found one yet that would draw me in.
There's a YouTuber, I can't remember his full name. It's Simon something, but he's a British dude. He's a climate scientist, and so he does all sorts of really interesting videos about climate change and things like that. But I came across him because he did a really popular video with another astrogeophysicist or something. But they looked at Warhammer, and they picked like 12 worlds in the universe of Warhammer, and they talked about could that world exist in our universe with our physics, and it was really interesting. But this guy, he also he plays Warhammer. He's got a whole army, but his orcs, or at least some of them, are themed as though they're all on like a beach vacation. So they're in like Hawaiian shirts and hats and stuff, and it's pretty cute.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be cool. Whatever you decide on doing, Jess, looking forward to it.
Thank you, and hopefully we can rope you in.
Well, I said I was interested, so yeah.
Okay.
Oh no, I guess that's a really bad way of me saying I really admire your artwork and your drawings. So it would be really cool to see you apply it in that way. I know that, especially since we are all creatives in this town, like we want to do it all, and it's exciting. And art calls. I don't know if you have this experience. I can paint as well, and I used to write songs. Sometimes I want to only play guitar. Sometimes I only want to paint, and then I might not touch it for another 2 years.
Yeah.
Which is a blessing that I have that as an expression, but it's like, how do I, and how do I stick to something or do art and then also make money doing it too? So it's like a whole lot of things to think about.
Yeah, I would just, it's cliche, or everyone says this, not everyone, but most people, some people say this as a thing to do. Just do it. Start.
Totally.
Yeah.
Just do it. Keep it consistent. And not that, I mean, I didn't even ask if you wanted advice on it. I shouldn't assume.
Oh no, I think it's more. I'm just saying that I was more giving you an out to be like, it sounds like a cool idea to do, and then 2 months down the line, I might be like, fuck, it's a lot I've committed to. But
yeah,
I think it was right on Scott and Zardaz's part to spread out, make it a year and a half from now or something, or like a year.
Yeah.
Because then what I would want from you guys is to give us like monthly goals. Okay, have you designed, have you come up with a concept? What's the first thing you have to do? And so like monthly check-ins, and then we have to all share that. It's always helpful when you have someone else driving the ship to make things happen.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with however the scheme that you guys decide on building this out. I'm totally with it. Who were the people again? Was it I know John, you said, was it Bert as well, or
Bert's not on board as of yet, but possibly. It's just a handful of us, but we're just doing it as a fun thing. It's not like,
and we'll get the community involved, and
more of just a community fun thing to do.
Yeah, just let me know how it turns out, and then
sure,
I can jump in on that.
Absolutely. So here, let me share this real quick. So Games Workshop asked a silly thing on their. Did that work? Nope, that didn't work. There we go. All right. How would you stop 1,000 poxwalkers? What units would you send up against 1,000 poxwalkers? Okay, Naeem. Go.
Probably just a couple units of salamanders. Because they all love fire, so.
Yeah, lots of flamers.
Multi-flamers and just them. Either that or just putting a unit of AdMech, what are they called? The Castilian robots.
Sure.
Yeah, just them. Either those two. So
just something with a ton of shots.
Yeah. The more shots you pump into Death Guard, the more likely you'll kill them. Although I think apparently they're changing I know jumping topics, but they're changing the role for, was it Disgusting Resilient?
Well, they nerfed it, but I mean, there's still right. It's not the 5-up feel no pain anymore, but it's still, Death Guard still has a bunch of rules that work together to be really strong.
Shit. Okay. Well. All right. Well, yeah. The more shots that you put into Death Guard, the more likelihood you can knock down a unit, which is kind of odd that folks didn't try to do that in the first season. But
I kept telling them you got to focus your fire, but nobody listens to me. That's
but
fine.
yeah, it's still fun. But that
Yeah.
is my answer.
Okay. Jessica, what sort of orcs would you send up against 1,000 poxwalkers? They're basically just zombies.
Grots, because we just don't care about them. We just be like, to handle that. it like just doesn't matter.
It's true.
Question: what is
Y'alls.
Lost and the Damned?
Lost and the Damned are in which?
I don't know. I'm looking at factions, and this has come up as a specific faction.
Hold on, let me turn this off. Where are you looking?
On fandom, I'm trying to look at
Aren't they like combined chaos units or something like that? Combined chaos armies?
Yeah, well, I mean,
Or is it
Lost
a
and the
book?
Damned was it was like Traitor Guard, so it was it was like bad guy versions of Astra Militarum, essentially,
yeah,
and then they had like mutants and other kinds of abhumans and things like that. But that's not really a thing anymore. They phased it out.
Do you remember in the first season how we had Adrioso was like doing that for that first game? She was playing with
Yeah.
them.
Yeah,
It didn't work.
that's true. Yeah, because they're still. Yeah, no, it wasn't very good. Yeah, so people online have been answering that question about the Poxwalkers, and yeah, popular answers are, definitely Astra Militarum, Lehman Russes with the Punisher cannons and heavy bolters, and then just a bunch of guardsmen. Yeah, just to shoot them with a lot of shots, especially because they're so cheap. Yes.
I already thought of a scenario for that in the future game, so.
Cool. Well, we at Emerald Knights, so my local comic book store, they used to run special Halloween sort of themed events where you could go and play different games and get points, and they had prizes, all sorts of silly stuff like that. But there was like you go in and play a D&D game or a Pathfinder game where you were fighting zombies and things like that. And we did a game that was I had forgotten about it, but it was essentially you only had like a certain number of points to build an army, and then there were 3 waves of was it Poxwalkers or Plague Marines? It must have been Poxwalkers, and then they were led by something, and you had to kill as many as you could. That one was a lot of fun. Yeah, missile launchers would be good. Well, I mean, of course, now anything with blast weapons would be good.
Yeah.
There are a lot of ways you could go with that.
Yeah, that's an
Rooting for
interesting
the-
thing we can work on implementing somehow.
Sure.
I already
Yeah.
have my rules on that.
Cool. What are your opinion on beaky helmets?
Oh, what is that?
Here, let me show you. Because this keeps coming up, partly because I'm so disgusted by them. Share screen. Allow. There we go. All right.
Oh,
So that's a beaky
Ravenclaw.
helmet.
Raven, what's the thing?
Yeah, I mean, technically anybody can have a beaky helmet, but yeah, Raven Guard are particularly known for using them. So Jessica, and I want to hear from both of you. Because I have strong opinions.
I don't know what I'm supposed to hate about it.
So it's just the helmet itself. So instead of having like a flat face to it, like
That is a flat face.
No, it's based on the perspective right now. It looks flat,
Okay,
but
hold
it's
on.
really like a
I am more
coming out like
hold on.
a
Like it's got a beak, kinda.
yes.
Yeah, no,
yes.
it's a full on like actual beak. Let me
So it's a beak
here's.
helmet or a beak
oh.
keep.
No. Well, they call them beakies because they are beaked helmets.
I was hearing beekeeper, like
No.
got it. Because I was like, that doesn't look like a beekeeper helmet.
How's that one?
I hate
Can you
it.
see that one? Okay.
I hate it.
Okay. Me too.
Why?
But some people really like them.
I could see why people like them or can like them. they, but I mean, that wouldn't be my first choice.
Okay.
I would rather just be flat down.
Yeah.
But, no.
So here's, and maybe Naeem, you can agree with this artistically. This is incongruous to the design. Nothing is sleek like that. If I'm looking at like more sleek, like curvature or something, like nothing else on that suit of armor looks like that helmet.
Yeah, it looks kind of odd. It looks odd. If they had some more things on the helmet itself, on that area that's protruding out, then maybe it could work better. But it just having that flat base, it just looks odd.
Well, and it's like, okay, let's maybe they want aerodynamics, right? Like let's think nothing else in that suit is aerodynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's weird.
Dislike. Let me send a letter.
Okay, send a letter.
What's your astringent opinion?
Oh, I hate them. I cannot stand them. They're
guys,
awful.
I had a really great dream about Chris Evans last night, and I'm really distracted by it.
By the dream?
It wasn't as sexual as one might assume.
Oh,
but
I'm sorry.
we were in love.
Well, that's good. Yeah, so I dislike the beaky helmet so much that even when I had... oh, there we go. I got a very rare exclusive model that had a beaky helmet, and I cut that shit right off and put a different helmet on it.
Yeah, I mean, that looks right.
Because otherwise he would have had a beaky helmet and yuck.
And to be fair, Scott, I don't aesthetically like your guys. I wouldn't want
fine.
to. No, like I don't hate them, but they're right,
Yeah.
Like, but the helmet is not. The new one?
I think that beak also gets in the way of a lot of things with their turning their head and whatnot.
Oh, that's got to be so true.
It would seem to, yeah.
Maybe it makes it harder to break their neck, though.
I mean, according to the lore, like the actual reason why it has that beak on there is that it has a bunch of extra sensors packed into the front.
What? So it's their whiskers?
Which is stupid.
It's their whiskers, then. That's weird. Because you know how people will trim cats' whiskers and they shouldn't because that's their feelers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I guess. I don't know. I it's not something I would put on my Marine, so.
Uzi says, how do you get a job writing lore for 40K? Well,
it's not hard, clearly. Naeem, if you wanted people to remember you for one thing with Warhammer, what would it be?
I would probably have to be I'm just a kid like everyone else that loves nerdy stuff like this, and I just like to have fun along with my friends.
I think you exemplify that in everything you do.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
But I just like stuff that's considered nerdy by. I don't know. I don't want to say nerdy is like something bad because it's not. It's actually really cool to be a nerd. Just like pop culture, just stuff like that. I just like cool stuff and like playing it with friends.
I think of nerd now as someone who just happens to know a lot about a specific thing, and you can be a nerd about a lot of things, and it doesn't preclude you from being a nerd if you don't know about something that someone else likes, right? Like, oh, I've never seen Star Wars, then you're not a nerd. Get the fuck out of here. I don't know anything about your ME Adventum world, but talk about that a little bit. Like, how does that cross over for you? Because I know a lot of our friends are part of that. Is there a Warhammer feeling that you get out of that world, or what do you?
I would say Mass Effect is not as chaotic as Warhammer. It's more of like a space soap opera in a way. Well, Warhammer could be a soap opera as well, especially what we did with Grim Dark Dawn. But Yeah, I think Mass Effect is more of like it's similar to how Star Trek. I think it's more in line with closer to being near the Star Trek than like say Star Wars or
Mm.
Warhammer. But yeah, I just like playing games with friends, and I got the opportunity to do that with Mass Effect, being able to jump into that world and create stories of our own in such a popular and well-known uh, uh, series, I guess. Um, and yeah, it just started as something that we just wanted to play. Um, after Pencils and Parsecs ended, I asked Bert, "Hey, you want to like jump in and just play for fun this Mass Effect RPG?" He's like, "Yeah, sure." And we asked a couple friends to join in with us, and then I would just ask. I happened to ask Bert if he was fine with, "You want to record this?" And then he was like, "Yeah, sure." And then everyone else was fine with it, and then it just turned into something much bigger than we expected. But we try, and we still at this core want to make sure we're doing it because we're having fun and we're
Mhm.
enjoying each other's company. And if that's not there anymore, then it won't work. And so yeah, I'm just fortunate to it's gotten to this point where it's at now. So
I mean, I know nothing about Mass Effect, though I think I would like it if I were to ever play it, just based off of the two things it marries in the gameplay alone.
mhm.
And you're right that people really just don't tune into RPG shows if people aren't genuinely enjoying the other person's company. I was someone made me feel bad recently that all of my projects, the only way people get to hang out with me is if they're doing a project with me. And they're like, oh, just like, I hate that about LA. It's like, fuck you. I'm basically doing cool things with
Yeah,
my friends and making money or, you know what I mean? Like, or not, or like, that's how it is out here too. It's like you find people that you want to work with and also play with.
yeah. I think you would very much enjoy that series because one, I mean, I'm assuming you like sci-fi, so there's
And
that.
there's like romance, right? Or
It's
like,
romance. There's a lot of romance that goes
I
on.
think I'd love it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of well, yes, there's a lot of romance that goes on with that series, and it's pretty cheap right now. I think at least the original three are. You should definitely try the trilogy out. Maybe stream it on stream and just go through the whole storyline of those three games.
It's not a bad
And I know
idea.
they're yeah, and I know they're working on a remaster for the I guess that falls in line with the current gen of consoles at the moment. That's supposed
Oh,
to be
that's
coming
cool.
out this year. But I know right now, at least on Game Pass or like Steam or whatever, you could there. It's pretty cheap, and I would highly recommend you or anyone that likes sci-fi and just good storytelling and romance even to just jump in and try it out because it's really good.
I love that. Yeah, and I think it speaks to the like the likability of Mass Effect and the quality of relationships. The fact that podcast has been going on for quite some time too.
Yeah, it's I think we just hit doing it for 2 years now. I
Wow.
Oh,
think two
wow.
years, which is insane because I never I never thought it would get to that point. No, was it 2 or 3 years? It's been a while. It's on for a while. Um, but yeah, with Adventum, even if you don't have Mass Effect like history with it, with knowing the lore of what happened in those games, you could still jump into listening to Adventum and be just fine. Bert does a really good job with explaining what's going on, and especially the new viewers. My parents listen to it, and
Aww.
they never like, they know ain't nothing about Mass Effect. To this day,
Nice.
I've gotten plenty of friends that have known nothing about Mass Effect and either been fine and continue listening to it, or jumped into the original games itself and started
And then
like diving further. So yeah, um, pretty much we feel we love what we're doing with that Adventum.
This is gonna sound
that's great.
maybe this is more I don't know how to explain it. Um, when I first met you, you are like 100% introvert to me, like especially like in contrast to someone who's insane like I am. And I particularly love introverts for that very reason. I find you guys challenging and educational and fun and introspective, and you guys teach me a lot about how to be calmer and stuff like that. So I don't. This is not. I'm not going to explain myself well, but watching you do all these things that include performing or being on camera, each time and every time you've done it surprised me more and more, but also shouldn't. Does that make sense? Like, it's just kind of cool to like assume you were not an in front of the camera guy or not a performing guy, and you have such a natural calmness in front of it, despite what my assumptions were.
Well, yeah, I am internally freaking out at times, but I try not to show it. I would never. I would say this. I would have never thought I would have be doing RPGs if I had not known Adam, because we used to work together at a company when I first moved to LA, and him introducing me to Lucas and then Zach at Hyper and Geek and Sundry at the time or whatever. Just him introducing me to them and that world of RPGs. I would have never thought I would be doing RPGs, especially in front of a camera. I would have never thought of jumping on Twitch and streaming on there. I would never have thought of streaming my own art to Twitch and, just doing stuff in front of people, in front of a camera. It's weird how the world works and how your life progresses as time goes on. Because when I moved to California, I've never thought I would be doing what I'm doing now. I thought I would just be doing stuff behind the scenes with movies and visual effects. And now looking back, I'm like, it's such a different trajectory of where I thought I would be as opposed to where I'm at now. And I'm just having fun. I'm just enjoying the ride. And yeah, I think for sure I am an introvert. I'm just blessed to know good people that have got me into positions to try new things like doing TTRPGs and doing it on camera. And I would have never thought I would have, like I said, been a part of so much stuff looking back. Never thought I would have been on like something as great as like fucking Kolak or the Warhammer show or many other stuff that I've done. It's just at the core, as I said earlier, of just having fun and just playing stuff with friends. And as long as that's still there, then I'm all in. So
I think it is a testament to your willingness to go, well, unknown territory, let me try it. And like, life is really what I think life turns out the way it's supposed to if you, like you said, go on the ride and offer less resistance as possible too.
Yeah. I was always into. I remember before I graduated college, my mentor, who I still speak to today, she always told me that if you just need to try it once, or if you feel determined to do something, just try it once, and if you fail, then you fail. That you'll know at least that you've tried it, and if it doesn't work, then you fail. And it's nothing wrong with failing at all, or something not working out. It's a part of growing up and living life. So just I try my hardest to. Yeah, you get nervous or you have anxiety about certain things when you're trying something new, and that's fine. It's fine to be uncomfortable about certain things, but as long as you're able to learn from it and grow, I don't see what the issue is.
Failure isn't a failure unless you've given up, right? Like,
Yeah.
and giving up is not the same as pivoting or taking the experience and applying it elsewhere. Because like our gut really, I don't know if you operate from this, but I tend to, my gut tends to know whether something's not right or not.
Oh yeah.
And the less I listen to it, the less the more incorrect my gut starts becoming.
Yeah, yeah. I am big on red flags as well. That's I call them. Well, I don't know if you call them red flags. Yes, I am big
What
on.
do you call them red flags, or do you call them something else?
Well, okay, it depends on the situation, but
I gotta know.
I go with my gut as well, but yeah, it depends on the situation. But I go with my gut, and usually 9 times out of 10, probably more than that. If I am like fully in my head engrossed in thinking that I can succeed or do good in whatever path that I'm thinking of doing, I'm usually fine, and it usually works out.
Mindset is a big factor. Also, like circumstance and like think about it. We all had plans for this year or this past year, and what are plans even anymore? But
Yeah.
you're right that the overall trust and we just know, and the less we listen to that, the harder things become.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah. Fun fact: I didn't know you were fully into art until we all went that night. We went to see is it Spider-Man? What's the film?
The Spider-Verse?
Spider-Verse. Yeah. I didn't know until we actually had a conversation while watching the movie or beforehand, and that's when I knew about you doing art and all that stuff, which is really cool. So that's when I found out.
And I admire that. I admire your skills so much as well. Yeah, I feel very. I'm a jack of all trades when it comes to art, and I'm really good at most art. Just because I've also I've stopped not taking my stance on where I'm actually like I've stopped going, oh, I'm okay, or no, I'm not that bad. I just start. I'm actually good. I actually write good songs. I actually am a good painter. There's a part of me that wishes I could just be a painter. I just can't. I can't do it. But I have this boat that I just haven't finished. But I love knowing so much about art that I do, so that I can connect with people that I care about on different levels. Because we are surrounded by so many different artists, and like the way Scott talks about painting his minis blows my mind. Like. And then wanting to learn about like how you approach things, or just I learned just from seeing your stuff. I go, cool, okay, why did he go? Like those are, you have your own style, and that's I'm an artist. What can I say?
That's fine.
So, sometimes that's all you can say, for sure.
Yeah.
Just spam thing.
Yeah, I just hope to. I think I'm just about done with this piece that I've been working on for months. So hopefully, willingly, by the end of this month, I'll be able to finish it.
So that's an interesting question. Does something take that long because you're very busy, or it's a meticulous project, or?
Yeah, it depends on. There's a combination of, I work a full-time job in video games, so it's. My time is already limited, but yeah, the process for this one in particular is stippling, and stippling is very, very, what's the word? You're using dots to create an image, in a sense. So it takes time to, fully create it, and the size that I've been working on adds to that growth of how much time it's needed to be finished and how much detail it is. So I think overall I've been working on that piece for just under a year. So
oh my god. Oh, so it's pointillism, kind of.
Pointillism.
Pointillism.
Well, that's stipple. Well, okay. So apparently there's 2 different names. Stippling is you're creating image with just black ink. Pointillism is the same thing, but you're creating it with color.
Got it. Can I show you what I did? It's not exactly like this, but it's sort of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. I'm sorry if we jumped.
Oh, this is great. No, I love it.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Ooh.
It's
What-
probably the best piece of work I've ever done. And I fucked it up. I got like a mess of it on here. Like it's a mess now, but I still love it.
That is awesome.
That's cool.
And it was an experiment more than it was like I have a full vision of it. And then also like because with ink, if you make a mistake, you've made a mistake, and you gotta
Right.
make it work. So
Yeah.
I can't wait to. I didn't realize that that's the enormity of the project that you're working on. That's very cool.
Yeah, it's a commission from my mom because she's a
Oh.
big Lord of the Rings fan. So.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll post pics when you're done.
I do
of
have
it, right?
another
'Cause
question
I think-
about that
yes.
style. Is it
Oh,
cheating if any of the points touch?
No.
So the points can touch.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen different styles. There's different types of stippling or pointillism.
How
as
are
long
you
as
doing it?
yeah, as long as you've gotten the job done or whatever you envisioned for this said piece, then you can do whatever. It's still at heart stippling, in a sense, so or pointillism. So
Well, I think I'm gonna draw after we're done here.
you've been inspired.
Oh, 100%. That's
Cool.
Again, that's why I'm very blessed to do a lot of different art, because if I feel inspired or need to express myself in a certain way, that the ability is there, and I'm grateful for that. Oh, I can't wait to see this, Naeem. Sorry, I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled.
Oh, you? That's great.
Wait, what did you say?
I forget that it was in like the stories. If you're looking at the work in progress piece, yeah.
I'm not seeing it. I just can't wait to see it. I'm
Okay.
looking at actual examples of stippling.
Gotcha.
And especially if it's Lord of the Rings, I very much can't wait to look at it.
Yeah. We'll see how it turns out. No.
Cool. Do we have any other questions for our guests? Let's see if chat has any questions for Naeem while he's here. Any any hardcore Warhammer knowledge questions you want to ask him?
I mean, in terms of lore, I'm still like a baby at it, honestly.
Well, there's so much. I mean, it's
yeah. I do think though the stuff they've been doing with the Necron so far are really cool. The models that they've been releasing. Like I know Lucas apparently he has the Silent King or the Void. I think it's either Void. No, he has the Silent King, but he has yet to build it. Last time I talked to him, but that model is so cool. And the story behind the whole arc of Necrons and how they came to be and where they're at now is really interesting. And I have dabbled with. I won't say much. I've looked at their lore for future stuff. So
cool. Yeah, I was gonna say we've talked a little bit about Necrons on this stream, but Lucas is probably going to be a guest coming up at some point, so that'll probably be a good day to talk about Necron
You mean
lore.
Ronald Trump?
He's
right.
His thing has blown up ever since he put that.
I think it's over 400,000 likes at this point, which is fucking insane.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then there's that guy who's like, "Oh my god, other people made that joke," or like, I guess he deleted it, but like,
he was the first one that did it.
Yeah. And then,
wow.
Even if it's within a minute, Iffy Nwandwe posted this great thing, like what people should do what comedians should do when this happens. Oh man, someone made this joke, and then he posted the picture of him deleting it, like because if that happens, if someone
of course,
delete it. Got dude.
Naeem, Uzi asked a good question. What exactly do you do in the video game industry?
I'm a lead environment artist at a video game company called Turn Me Up Games. And that's something else I would have never thought I would be doing nowadays. I thought, as I said earlier, I thought it would still be in visual effects, but it's crazy how time and your path in life works. Transitioning from visual effects to then doing in between of TV broadcasting or the equivalent of internet broadcasting and working in that to then jumping into video games. And it's crazy. I'm just, like I said, I'm just enjoying the ride. So,
are you working on some really cool secret projects right now?
Tell us all about them.
Well, there's one project in particular that I'm leading the environments on, the designs and the output and whatnot, that I'm really stoked to be working on, that hopefully maybe at some point this year or next year that y'all have more information on once it's released or a trailer of some sort is released. But yeah, I know we've worked a bit on the Borderlands games, in terms of the ports for the Switch, Nintendo Switch. So we've done work on that, as well as a couple other things. You could just check all this stuff out on, I think, Turn Me Up Games. If you look it up online, you can find the official main website for that our video game company. So
Turn me up. Never stop. Never.
Turnmeup.la looks like. Okay, cool. Yeah, definitely go and check that out.
Naeem, I'm sorry that I didn't want to be on for the first hour that you were here. I just had to work up the courage.
Look.
That's what it was. Yeah.
I was extremely excited to see you again because I haven't spoken to you in a while.
I know.
And you delaying that hurt me. So,
wow.
No, I got it.
It's the anticipation. you gotta wait for. You gotta build it up.
Because I did ask Scott, like, where's Jessica? And he was like, she's busy doing stuff. I was like, okay.
It was super personal, and I'm so glad you took the slight because I meant it to be that way.
I thought I was personal to you. Is what I You hurt my feelings.
Wow.
Honest to God, Naeem, you were the only person at Hyper that ever made me feel welcome. So I'm sorry that felt that way.
I'm kidding. It's fine.
I know, me too. Me too.
Sure.
All right, I gotta go pee. It's been great talking to you.
Okay, hold on. I want to leave you with one more silly thing. What?
I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Purple orc?
So you know that orcs believe in different colors mean different things, right?
Yes.
So purple for orcs is the sneaky color.
Okay.
So if you're purple, then you can't be seen.
Funny. So this is a joke.
Yeah. Although, I don't know, maybe it means they're going to come out with more sneaky orcs at the point. Who knows?
I like it. Maybe my thing will be sneaky orcs.
Maybe. Yeah, but people do things like, well, they'll just have a bunch of bases lined up and they'll be like, check out my purple orcs.
I can't wait.
Because they're invisible. They're orc incognito.
I could win if I just roll a set and say that they're
and just say that they're all there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Stop screen. Go away. Well, Naeem, thank you so much for joining us today and talking about what you do and Warhammer and everything else. Really, really appreciate it.
I'm excited to see you GM, dude.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm excited as well. It was fun being on there. I didn't know it was 4 o'clock now. Jeez,
I know. All of a sudden it's 4 o'clock.
Yeah, I'm down if you need me on as a guest again later on. Sure.
Cool.
Let me know. Yeah, this was fun.
Good to know. All right, Jessica, thank you as always for being my co-host. Should we see who else is online right now?
Send it to that Warhammer lady.
Doesn't look like she's on.
Send it to a different Warhammer person.
That other one, that Red Katana, is on. Should we see what they're up to?
I don't know.
They're doing Death Guard. That would be appropriate for what we talked about today.
Go for it.
Red_Katana. Okay, hold on. I have a million windows open right now. I think that should work. Okay, we're getting ready to raid summon. Thanks everybody for joining us and watching and hanging out, and have a great rest of your day. Remember, tonight over on Emma's channel is Home Buddies Bar Trivia Night. Our teams are assigned. I've got a good one. It'll be fun if nothing else. We have yet to win, but it could happen tonight.
Your charm is the winning.
I mean, that's what I hope for. If nothing else, we can be charming. I know Andy he's looking for that third belt. We'll see what happens. All right. Thanks everybody. And I'm going to send it over to Katana, see what they're doing, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Take care.
Raid now and broadcast.